Hello, everybody. My name is Kenneth Ragsdale, a Gunner's Mate Chief, Surface Warfare, retired. The podcast lamp is lighted on the 04 Level Aft.
So, hey, everybody. The introduction today was by a Gunner's Mate Chief Ragsdale. I was so excited to get him to do that. And I just told Jay, I said, hey, guess who's doing the intro today? Because he don't even know it. Chief Ragsdale was on Lake Champlain with us. I think he did both deployments. Was he? He's Gunner's Mate, so yeah. He's an 86 guy.
He was, yeah.
So,
Yep.
I remember one of the stories of listening to him talk about just, from the Navy perspective, somebody that was probably joined the Navy before I was born. I don't really know how long he was in the military, but he was such a good chief, and he spent a lot of time, even with people who weren't in his division, talking. And so it was kind of cool to reach out.
He was senior chief, wasn't he?
Well, I don't remember him being a senior, but he introduces himself as chief. So Gunner's Mate Chief. So he didn't say senior. So unless he got busted down from senior to chief, I don't know.
I remember he had a really, really cool Tom Selleck mustache.
Yeah, he did.
Dude, it was like on point. Awesome.
Yeah. So it was last time with Steve.
I'm trying to find him right now in the cruise book.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Last time with Steve, he was talking about how he went through on the Wog Rebellion and watched all the chief mugs. And I was wondering how many of the chiefs that was inflicted by that have listened. I wonder if there's any. If you were there and you listened to it, go into the 04 Level Aft Facebook page and you can cuss Steve.
Steve's a damn troublemaker. Steve's a damn troublemaker. I don't know if you can see it, but Ragsdale's right there.
Yeah, there he is. I see.
With the glasses. There he is with the glasses.
Yeah. Who's that
I hope
guy
you're doing well, Chief.
Who's that guy to his right there? The mustache. What was his name?
Dude, that was my chief, man. He was a senior chief Hagen.
Hagen.
I can't find him anywhere.
Oh, is that the one you're looking for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
I'm looking for him, and if anybody out there knows where Senior Chief Graham Hagen is, or FC3 at the time Zane Gardolski is, let me know, because I've been trying to get a hold of that.
Well, I did not look him up properly for you then. I apologize. There's a bunch of people. I'm looking through this thing. I would love to find Robert Taylor. I'd love to find Jason Stamps.
Wow, I haven't heard that name since
Vandersnick. Vandersnick Shoe. That was such. I mean, look, Danny Workman. Those good guys. A bunch of really good guys on the ship, and those weren't even CF guys. But you look through the Chief Beller, or not Chief Beller. Chief Weber, Philip Weber, was a sonar chief.
Yep.
He ran the. I'll put my cruise book away. Quit reminiscing. He was running the Nav Lead class when I went through that, and he said a bunch of stuff in that Nav Lead class that I still use. Still.
Really?
Yep. I actually use.
Dude, your memory's like a steel trap. I swear.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I ate for dinner last night. You remember stuff like that, dude? I
had peanut butter and jelly.
See, I have no idea. Tuna fish on toast, maybe? Who knows?
So I got two kids. Okay, so since we've been on episode 1, we're just rambling. Sorry if we're rambling. People who are listening to this nonsense. This is what 04 Level Aft is all about, nonsense. But since we did episode 1 with Steve Parker, which was a fantastic episode and hit, at least in my mind, I have taken my 2 oldest kids to college. They are in Lake Charles at McNeese State University. Peyton's in her second year, and Sam's starting his freshman year, and Peyton's doing art, design, and I'll probably get it wrong, graphic design and such as that. Sam's going for an engineering degree. He has not decided on which type of engineering, if he wants to go mechanical or electrical. He hasn't decided yet. But he's doing all the prerequisite stuff. And I'm just amazed at how smart them kids are, because they got all that from Christina. That's a fact.
I was just about to say, yeah.
You're not supposed to agree with me on those. But so
I've seen your wife mad, I think, once, and that's the only time I ever want to see her mad.
Oh wow, that's it. I've got that done. I don't make her mad today yet. No, I don't think so. So
Yeah, and I brought my oldest to college.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Luke.
Oswego State. Nope, Christian. Christian's the oldest, and Luke. For those of you who do not know,
Yeah. Let's go, kids, go, shoot.
For those of you that know me, that knew me on the Lake Champlain, represent.
Yep.
I had Grace, my daughter. You know,
Born
year
on
2000.
2000 deployment. Yep.
2000 deployment. And when I got out of the military, I had a son, Luke, with somebody, and 2 children with my wife. But my wife also had a son in her prior marriage. So we both have 4 boys together. And Grace, unfortunately, passed in a car accident a couple years ago. But yes, our oldest Christian just went to Oswego State, and he's majoring in law enforcement, doing the forensics thing. The kid is like you, reads one thing and he retains it. So I have no idea. Yeah.
I wish I was that way. I don't remember anything that's useful. Let's put it that way. If it's important, I can't retain it. So.
If it's interesting, I'll retain it.
Right.
Like, how where they came from, what the saying "mind your P's and Q's" came from, right?
Pots and courts during the fights.
Yeah. Yep. The old English, old England.
Might have been
Mind your P's
England.
and
Who knows?
Q's.
But so you have altogether 5.
Yes.
One way
One
or
in
the
heaven.
other. Yep. I was really disappointed that knowing you had to go through that. That was not something that people want to. It's hard to hard to deal with. Even talking to a friend that's gone through that, it's hard to talk to.
Right. I mean, nothing hits worse than that, man. I mean, it's Grace. Her name is Grace. Grace and I, we didn't see each other for years because her mother went. She found somebody else, and she moved around a lot. Like there's a couple times she lived in Thailand and stuff. So it's just insane.
Yeah.
So I didn't see her a lot, and unfortunately, when she turned 18, I tried to contact her a couple times, but just to no avail.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. But she called me, 18, her 8th birthday. She called me, and we reminisced, and for 3 years straight, we were just talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Talking on the phone, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks before she was supposed to come here and meet her brothers, man, it happened. But no one should feel that kind of pain. No one should, And what sucks, dude, is the brothers are looking forward to it. So not only did I lose a daughter, they lost a sister, and that right there, as a father, you want to take care of them, but there's not much you can really do.
No. No,
But,
and it's impossible to. All you can do is grieve with you, and you told me afterwards, and I'm still like in grieve mode with you because I remember when we were trying to have a Bible study on that first deployment, and we was in Sonar 1, and you come in just ear to ear telling us about she was born and I believe it was you told us her name, and then I want to say it was Rob Taylor did like a little quick word study on the word grace and taught us about that, and it's kind of cool. So
Rob Taylor, he was a good man.
Yeah, a lot of these people I have no idea where they are. I always wonder, but maybe this is a way of us catching up with them.
Just to deal with that kind of thing, John. I mean, it goes back. The only thing I really relied on is my faith.
Right.
I know your faith is strong. Mine is also as well. I know we don't want to make this episode about it. We talked about this, but my faith is strong in me and my family. So that's the only thing I can really do is just to keep strong in my faith.
Right. Hey, that's
the only thing that keep me sane.
Right. Yeah. That's a fact. That's the only thing that's kept me alive. I promise you that. So, but well, I mean, I'm sure we'll get more into details and stuff if it permits later. So,
absolutely.
So today we talked about Jay and I. We don't want to always have to have a guest, and we want to be able to just slap in here on a Sunday evening like this and put out an episode. But also, we're not that interesting, so we have to have some some
The
gas.
third wheel?
The third, to keep us rolling, and a third leg on the tripod, right? And so, but one of the things that this is going to be about is catching up with everybody and finding out what's been going on since we've last seen them, and of course that's for those we know, but those we don't know. Obviously, we can't catch up with them because we don't know, there's nothing to catch up. But anyway, so for us, I was thinking like last time we didn't really talk about me and you that much because we had Steve on and Steve killed it. And so I guess this is a chance for us to kind of explain what we've been up to and what's been going on with us since 2003 when the last time you walked down the pier and I waved at you as you were leaving, and I was
21 years ago.
I was
moly.
very aware that was the last time I was ever going to see you, and that of course precursor to social media, and I had your number and we called, talked to each other a few times, and then it kind of how it is falls through, and then so trying to bring that back around, and then just one day you just popped up on something, and you're like, "Hey man, what's up?" Or I texted you. I was like, let's see if this number's still his number, And I texted him and said, "Hey, is this still Jay Beck?" He said, "Yes, it is." So fired us back up, and then so I got out in 2003. You got out in 2003, I believe. I got out in September, and
June.
And so we're looking at 21 years next month for me, and I stayed in San Diego for a couple years because I was waiting on Christina to get out of the Navy, and so I worked in town. I did construction and stuff, and I remember through the TAP class they talked about how you're going to go through tons of jobs at the beginning because you're not going to be able to ground yourself in something new. It's going to be a really hard transition, and it was. I had a lot of jobs. I was trying to think of it earlier. I don't know how many jobs I've had since I got out of the Navy. But so one of the jobs was in El Cajon. There's a furniture place, and they needed somebody to help deliver and stuff. And I don't know what I was doing. I just needed something to do. And it was real close to the house, and I worked there for one day. And the next day, I got home that night, and there was a message on the machine about a job, and I took it. And I went in the next day and was ready to work. And I said, "Hey, I'll finish this week out, but I'm not coming back on Monday." He goes, "Yeah, I didn't think you'd last." So, but I was like, "I'll finish the week. I don't want to put you in a bind." He goes, "Nah, we're gonna get rid of you." So, I did the construction for a long time. Wound up moving back. I had Peyton while I was in San Diego. Christina got out. We moved to Georgia in 2005, and we lived there, and then we moved just into North Carolina, which I think the move was only like 22 miles. And we moved to North Carolina in 2006, the end of 6. And then Sam was born right before we moved up there. So that was a long time ago. And it was my dad has a construction company, still does, and builds houses. And the market in 2008, the bubble happened, and recession happened, and the housing market just went away, and then it was like crazy. I couldn't keep a job.
Where's that, Georgia? Georgia or North Carolina?
It was both. I mean, it's like, I mean, like I said, my mom's North Carolina, my dad's in Georgia, and they live 25 minutes from each other, so it's all right there together.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
And so it was. And so in the meantime, in like 2006, at the end of 6, after Sam was born, I quit smoking, and I was just struggling with everything, and I was going to church all the time, but just going, wasn't really getting into it. And then in February of 2007, I decided I was going to take it serious and really started getting back into church and really started paying attention, and just before you know it, God's like, "I need you to start preaching." And I was like, "Are you serious? Like, do you know what I used to do? Do you know the stories?" I mean, of course I know you were there, but, so in 2007, I started preaching and started doing evangelism work, running around town and counties and different states preaching and doing stuff, and was doing a really cool thing. And then, like I said, the recession hit, couldn't keep a job, couldn't do nothing. And when in 2011, I got my actual official license for ministry, and the head of the church was like, of that state, and said, if you guys have an avenue to go to another state, go, because there's no work here, there's no churches here, because there's so many people here. And so that's when we started really praying about moving to Louisiana, and we moved down here in 2011. This is where Christina was out of. Her mom and dad are still here, brothers are here, and and we tied in pretty quick to a good church and a good family and a good church family and a good work. And then, of course, I still struggled with work a little bit because we came down here with a promise of a house and a job. The house was kind of okay, but keeping a job was not easy to do at the beginning. And so I did gutters for a long time. I enjoyed doing gutters on people's houses, but that's not a recession-proof job. When there's a recession and nobody's got extra money, gutters are not something that people are on the list for.
Right.
So I decided that it was time to start finding something that could give me a career / retirement, even at my late age in life. So at 38 years old, I started building power lines, and I love it. And now I work for a power cooperative, EMC, depending on where you are in the country. You either call it a co-op or a EMC. It's not a power company, but I do that now, and I enjoy it. I love it. And it's outside of the Navy, it is the greatest job that I've had when it comes to service and helping people. There's nothing cooler.
Awesome.
There's nothing cooler than 2:00 in the morning getting a phone call and hauling down to somewhere and finding a tree on a line and clearing it and picking the line back up and flipping the switch and all the lights coming back on and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. And especially during hurricanes when people have been without power for a few weeks, you throw this light switch on, it's pretty stinking cool. I was hear people scream. I went to Puerto Rico for a while during Hurricane Maria in 2017-18, and man, that was an eye-opening moment for me. That was 10 months of my life that it was very important that I did that. And those people down there were struggling, and they didn't have electricity for some of them for years, because it was just so. The power company down there is so corrupt, and so they weren't helping people, and so we showed up we're in hurricane mode, hurricane, you just go fix everything. Well, they had, and some of them people were turning lights on, like, oh man, it's been 2 months, and that one lady's like, no, it's been 6 years since I've had electricity in my house.
Wow.
And we're like, whoa. So it was just cool, like you see a bunch of old burly roughneck linemen nearly crying because they are very aware of what that means, that they haven't had electricity for all that time. So it's kind of cool.
Right.
But so I started. I want to tell you this though. This is, I think, kind of important to how this started. In 2015, 16, I was working in a little shop. I was making like metal roof, roof metal. So it was It was a machine that took giant coils of metal, and it, like toilet paper rolls, right? But monsters, heavy thing. And it ran through this machine, and it flat stock in one end, at the other end it came out roof metal. And it was like 26 feet long, so it went from flat stock to roof metal coming out the other end. And so it had a lot of like computer stuff. It had a lot of relays and a lot of, all that kind of stuff. And I happened to work there, and they couldn't get one of them going. And I pulled the long lines out, started like studying, and I was like, oh, well, look, that's the relay that's bad, and that relay don't get used. So I swapped the relays out, and it started working again. And after that, I became in charge of that machine. And so while I was working down there, I had this kid, and I say kid, he was probably about 20, and he had his earbuds in, and he was just laughing. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? He goes, I'm listening to a podcast. And I'm like, what's a podcast? Never heard of that. That's what. So he used my phone, and he started like looking through, because I had an iPhone. He started looking through my iPhone stuff, and he asked me like, who's a comedian I like? And I told him, and he said, and he looked him up. Boom, there's a podcast. Listen to it, and I was like, I can do this. You know, like, but I didn't want to just do it, you know, because it's
Right.
anybody can buy the equipment, but it's not easy to do this. It's not easy to produce these things.
Right.
And so I started a podcast called Under the Cloud, and been kind of on hiatus on that. I'm actually trying to put that back together, and that's a Jesus faith based deal, and and then we started this year of 2024. We started a podcast called The Daily Dose of Proverbs, which is an every single day deal. Do not recommend you do an every single day podcast very lightly. If you're going to do that, you better be ready for some craziness.
Got to be dedicated, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's fun though. I enjoy it. And then so you have your podcast,
I do.
and
Yes.
and then so me and you talked about that and helping you with the equipment and helping you with all the different things. And then one day, you know, we talked about this in the sort of introduction thing. You called about doing one just for me and you. And I thought, man, will people listen? I don't know if they will. So we're going to put it out. And if y'all listen, you listen. If you don't, I'm not going to be mad at you. So we'll just make it work. But
It's fun, man. It's like back in the day on the 04 Level Aft, dude.
Right.
If they listen, they listen. If they don't, we're gonna have a heck of a conversation, no matter what.
right. And then
No matter what.
through all that time, by the way, I should have mentioned it. Christine and I have been married for 24 years. And we had
God bless her.
5 children and together.
God
And,
bless her.
And next week, on the 2nd, our baby turns 10.
Oh,
And then in November, our oldest turns 20. So we had all 5 of them in a 10-year bracket. So it's kind of cool. I'm excited. I'm not a papaw yet. You're not a papaw yet. That's a question I'm starting to ask my friends that I haven't talked to in a long time. Are you a papaw yet? I asked Brian Lane. Me and him this is kind of cool because people are like messaging me now because this is kind of out there. And Brian Lane sent me a message, and that's one of the questions I said, "Hey, you a papaw yet?" Brian Dolheimer too. I've talked to him a couple times, and so it's kind of cool.
oh man, Brian, if you're listening, do not forget about you, bro. Okay, I will be in contact. He texted me and tried to call me. It's just life has been hella busy. That's all. So Brian, haven't forgotten about you, bro.
So what
I'll be
happened to you?
calling.
You left in 2003, and then I never saw you again. So you didn't stick around San Diego very long, did you?
Oh no, and maybe it's funny, John. I remember walking down the pier when I got out. You know, when I got the papers and walked off. And at the time, you really don't. I mean, I was young. I knew I was getting out of the Navy, but I didn't know it was going to be the last time that I saw most of the guys.
Yeah.
You know, as a young kid, you're kind of aloof to that kind of thing. You know, it's kind of like you don't remember the last time you had a sleepover at a buddy's house. You don't remember the last time you went and saw fireworks. You don't remember the last time you went swimming when you were a kid with your friends.
Anyway, go ahead.
It just, you don't remember the last time, but that was the last time. You know, I really didn't comprehend it. You know, but I got out in 2003. I walked off the pier happy. You know, I was like, I did my 6. I'm out of here.
Well, I was ready to get out.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of drinking in the Navy. You know, a lot of people knew that. You knew that. I was good for the Navy. The Navy wasn't good for me. And I don't know if you know this or not, dude, but I did not like being an FC.
Really?
I did not like my job. I did not like my job.
Yeah.
I always felt like I was subpar in whatever I did there. You know, I just felt like I didn't fit in. That's why I was on the 04 Level Aft so much, smoking like crazy, just to chill and
You
hang
just
out.
don't feel like you were a good tech, or
Yeah. I mean, I've always.
I was not a
come
good
from
tech.
I
have
come
no
from
problem.
a long line of. I come from a long line of blue collared workers. You know,
Yeah.
it's just I'm better with my hands. You know, that's why I'm doing the trade that I am now.
Right.
But anyway, 2003, I got out. During the military, we just did talk about this. I had grace. Got out in 2003. Like Steve said he didn't. He had a hard time going to the workforce when he got out of the Navy. You know, tried a little bit, then he went back in the Army. Dude, I had a hard time, a real hard time. I took a year off, and I tried to go back to school. I couldn't sit through a class. I just couldn't. Not with these. I mean, I'm a 25-year-old guy now, you know, and trying to sit through a class of an 18-year-old kids. They annoyed me. So I couldn't focus on anything. So I decided to frame houses. I became a framer. I loved that job.
In
I loved
California
framing
or in
houses.
Syracuse?
In Syracuse. I went straight back to Syracuse when I got out of the military.
I'm sorry, I'm asking you questions when you didn't.
No.
ask me.
My 1990 Pontiac Grand Am that I had.
No.
Yeah,
I
I had a
kinda-
silver. I had a
Yeah.
silver 1990 Pontiac Grand Am that leaked oil. I had to stop like every 100 miles to put oil back in that thing. I'm surprised it made all the way back to Syracuse from San Diego, but drove back. Was a framer for a while. Then I started roofing, siding, and that's seasonal around here. You know, no one's building in the wintertime.
Right.
So I got laid off in the wintertime. I said, you know what, I need something a little bit more better than this. So I met Luke's mom, and Luke was born in 2007. 2007, Luke was born, and I started working at UPS, loading and unloading trucks. Did that part-time. Then I became a supervisor, management position. I really wanted to make a career out of UPS, but for some reason, you can't go full-time there until you've worked there like 8 to 9 years. And at that time, I have a brand new baby boy. You know, I can't wait 8 years to get a full-time job. Even though I had a part-time job, the benefits are awesome. The pay just sucked.
Yeah.
So I decided to look for another job, and I found one, and I was a rim doctor, they were called, rim doctors. Really, really cool deal, man. I loved this gig. You know, we went around car dealerships in upstate New York and fixed curb rashes, curb damage on rims, on automobile rims.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah, it was a lucrative gig, man. Made some good money and everything. But after that, the owner of that company, because I was going to make a career out of that, but the owner of the company sold the business, so of course they got rid of the highest paying people, and I was one of them. So they got rid of me. I started working at a BMW car dealership, and as a service advisor. And dude, I hated that. It's sales. I hate sales, man. Oh, I don't like talking to. I don't like talking to people. I'd rather swing a hammer. You know, I have to tell people, hey, you need tires. You got to spend this kind of money, and it's dog business, man. You know, I got 2 other advisors here trying to fight for my sale, you know, because they make money off it, you know. So I hated that. I hated going to work, and you work 10-hour days, and you had to work weekends and whatnot. But one day I was working on a Saturday, and a guy walks in, an older gentleman. He sits down and he looks at me and says, I was told I can get my oil changed today. I was like, okay, your name's not on the list. He was like, oh, you put me on the list. This guy, he had such an attitude, I liked him immediately. His name is Paul Leone. And he became my mentor. And I sat down. He's got to be like 80 now, man. He sat down and we talked for a good hour and a half. And come to know that he was a big head honcho in the union, the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union here in Syracuse, New York. It was local 267. Now it's local 81. And I said, wow, you know what? It sounds fun. I was like, how do you get in the union? He was like, you know me, kid, and you just got to know me. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So the next hiring cycle, I got in, and I was a 40-year-old first year, like you. You were 38 years old and you started your lineman job. I was a 40-year-old first year, man. I had to go through a 5-year apprenticeship. I've been doing that now. And while all that was going on, our son Seth Joseph was born. And also Cody James was born. One was born in 2015. One was born in 2016. So, yeah, man. Our third son is nonverbal autistic. He's our angel, dude. He's the best kid ever. I swear to God. Everyone's like, oh, don't you have a hard time raising him? No, man. I always say I have 4 boys right now, right? I tell everybody I have 1 that's perfect and 3 other ones that have special needs. The one with the special needs, he doesn't lie, he doesn't manipulate to get his way. Yeah. He does what he's told. The other 3 are the ones that have freaking problems. You know, they always try to lie, get their way, all that stuff. So, right. But I'm blessed, man. You know, I lost Grace in 2021. You know, and in 2022, I don't know if you know this or guys listening know this. I was diagnosed with kidney cancer in 2022. And they had to take my right kidney, and it was a really rough couple of years, dude. It was a really rough couple of years. And I was really, really, really depressed, big time depressed. And like I said before, the only thing that got me through it was my faith, you know? And when Grace passed, I was in the bathroom in the morning, brushing my teeth, getting ready for work. And something told me, something said in my head, start a podcast. Dude, I had no idea what a podcast was, like you. What's a podcast, you know? But something just, podcast, start talking. And I was like, okay, well, then that's why. So I started, My Brother's Keeper podcast. My Brother's Keeper podcast. And through that is when I started picking your head about what do I do here? What do I do here? What do I do here? Because you already been established in a couple podcasts yourself, and you helped me through it. And then here we are, started talking about doing something together. And now I see your pretty face right now.
I've been messing with the audio. I don't know if you can. Yeah, it's
you definitely seem a little more crisp.
Yeah, yes. I think I had it jacked up. So, it's one of the things that you and I talked about in all the conversations that we'd had leading up to this was that, people go through stuff and, yes, we were there together on the ship for 4 years or whatever. And we didn't have, we didn't spend every day together, but we spent a lot of time together. And it was kind of intensified simply because we were deployed and we couldn't leave the ship. We couldn't walk away.
Right. We didn't know where to go.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But it was intensified. We did 2 deployments together. You and I, we're both FCs, but we're in different divisions. You knew my wife in Chicago, right?
Yep.
So you knew her before, you met her before I met her, it was kind of cool. And so we knew a lot of the same people, had a lot of the same acquaintances and everything. And then we meet each other on the ship and, right off the bat, the personality types just personality types just fit together. And so we, and all of a sudden it's gone, we're like, but you meet friends, you have friends, and, you and Steve both talk about how it was hard to deal with civilians. It was hard to deal with that. And it's hard to make friends out here too, especially ones that are like that, because you'll never have that again. And even Brian Dahlheimer talked about how after the first 2 deployments, because he wound up doing 3 on the ship. Adam Hardy did 3 too, but his first 2 were with us, and then his third one was without us. Not that we're anything special, but he said slowly after that first run of people started leaving, and he said it didn't feel the same. And he said in the Lake Champlain, and of course I'm speaking for him, but Lake Champlain, that crew, it wasn't the ship, but it was just that group. Yeah. At that age meant so much more than it did later in the military. And of course, as you pick up rank and stuff, your crew, your circle of friends gets smaller because you can fraternizing and everything. So, but I think it's important for us to reach out to each other and to think about people and send a message and check on them and then which is weird because like there's some people who are messaging me that I don't remember. Yeah. And I'm having, once I see him in the cruise book, I'm like, oh man, how did I forget that guy? Like, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, what about that story? What about that story? What about that story?
Right.
Like, I mean, I can tell you an hour's worth of Brian Lane stories. And I forgot about the guy, like I don't know how that happens, and it hurt my feelings that I allowed that to happen. And, but then as soon as I put name to picture, the stories just started rolling in, and I remember I texted him this or messaged him this. In Thailand, he had this giant tattoo on his back. He had a big old tramp stamp. It said SoCal on the back of it. Right, it's huge, probably 4, maybe 6 inch tall letters. It was like SoCal, And so I walked up into the tattoo shop and looked at him, kind of looked over the tattoo artist, and I said, why did he put NorCal on your back? And he kind of looked at me and said, you shut up. he's like, don't you even mess with that. And like, it was kind of cool, you know, like, but you know, you can't, it's really hard to have that type of friendship again. And not that it's the best, you know. I think about this all the time. Me and Chris Dell looked up a guy, and as soon as I sent him the picture, I said, remember this guy? And he looked, and he's like, no, I don't, who is he? Because he looks different. I don't want to say his name. And once he realized who it was, the first thing he said was, man, I was such a prick to that guy. And I'm like, you know, I want to take this moment to apologize for being mean to people, being stupid back then. And I know there's a lot of people that I was trying so hard to be liked by everybody else that I allowed the bully mentality to take over a little bit. And I was kind of mean to people and a few people, and some people probably deserved it, but I know I got it in return as a fact. I got it kicked back to me a few times, and which is most of the time I was cool with it, you know, like let's just, you know, us battering, you know, playing and having fun. But sometimes I'm pretty sure I had this one guy I've looked through both cruise books. I cannot find him and remember, but I remember it was on the Bestex one day and I looked at him and said, hey man, what's up? And he's like, you know, a lot of people do not like you. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, a lot of people hate your guts, which meant to me that he hated me. And I thought, well, what if he's right? What if there are a lot of people? And if he hates me, then crap. And then I realized that meant a lot to me, that people didn't like me. I did not like that people didn't like me. And then that was like culture shock, you know, like, whoa, I didn't mean to be that way, but I promise I was. And I know it, I can look back and see it, but I didn't, it was not my intentions. I promise. And
no, brother, I'm pretty sure I don't know, maybe he was jealous of yours for something and he just wanted to make you feel bad, you know, because I was there.
He caught my attention though.
He was there. I mean, I was there. I saw a lot of people like you, you know, maybe he just didn't like himself.
That's possible.
You know? Yeah.
But you know,
misery loves company.
I'm sure, because I've met people since, you know, I'm sure that there's a certain, you know, type of person that can't handle the type of person I am. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of types of people that I don't really get along with. So who am I to think that everybody will like me when there's certain types of people I don't really care for? If that makes sense.
Definitely.
But anyway,
definitely makes sense.
We're just rambling.
But but even not only on the ship, but even, we were both FCs. We went to school, A school and C school. Even A school and C school guys. My two best friends right now were A school boys. You know, Tommy Galliano. He lives in Texas. He used to call me the Mick. I used to call him the Guinea. He's Italian. He's from New York. You know, he was originated and born in New York, but he grew up in Texas. You know, my other buddy Derek Smith. He's a Nebraska boy. You know, both of us, you know, we clicked, you know, them two and a couple of guys on the ship. I remember like there's no tomorrow, you know. It's just, like I said before in an earlier podcast, man, you know, it's prime years between the ages of 18 and 25 for a young man. And that's when we were in, you know, it molds us to the people we are, you know, and the people that surrounded us, you know, you are the company you keep. And we kept some pretty cool dudes around us, man. And we were tight-knit group. You know?
One day I was telling a story. It was something that was happening. I started telling a story. And the story started with one time when I was in the Navy. And a guy said, how long were you in the Navy for? Interrupted me. I said, 6 years. He goes, I've heard 10 years worth of stories about the Navy. And I was like, do I talk about it that much? Because I remember when I got out, I was ready to go. I loved my job. I loved being an FCS tech. I loved working on 400 Hertz. I hated Horts, but I loved my job. I hated all the collateral crap. You know, I was even and equivalent to everybody, but I could only get a 3.0 because I wasn't an equal opportunity petty officer. That's kind of stuff stupid, and I hated that. I had to have all these extra collateral duties in order to get a good eval. I like being.
Right.
I want to be a tech. I want to be a good tech. Which I wasn't. I know. I'm very aware of that. I was really good at MSS. I thought I muted my phone.
Well, I just threw you a text.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was.
You look good in orange, by the way.
Oh, Whataburger. That's a Texas thing.
Where's your Syracuse hat, man?
Oh, it's in the house. I didn't run back and get it.
I'm wearing the Georgia hat, as you can see, representing my boy.
Yeah, I should have worn it. I should have run and got it. But anyway, so like it was. Oh yeah, there is a private jet. Yeah, you did too. We're both freezing, audio and
Really?
video. Yeah, so I don't know if it's just end of the day and maybe everybody's on their internet and it's kind of messing it up, but we're just trying to figure this out. So, but
Sweet.
But yeah, and I find myself talking about it more than maybe I should, and I realize how much of an impact the Navy had on my life. Obviously, I got a bunch of kids because I joined the Navy. I'm sweltering down here in Louisiana. I wouldn't have been here any other way. But it's been really really good, and I'm glad I did it, and I wouldn't change it. Which is funny, though, because as proud as I am of my time in the Navy, I'm really not upset that my children decided not to join the military at all. I'm kind of cool
Agreed.
with that.
Yep, agreed. Yep.
My little brother's in the Air Force right now, so he's about to, I think he's whatever a 02 in the Air Force is. I can't remember. Lieutenant junior grade. No, he's loving it. He's talking about career, so that's cool. Have at it. But I'm not upset that my children are not talking about the military. If they come to me and say, "Hey, we're going," I'm like, bye, have fun.
Well, I mean, John, especially this day and age,
Yeah.
It's not the same military as when we joined. And our military was not the same military when our uncles and fathers joined. It's slowly becoming
When Chief Warrant
not
Officer
what we
Taylor,
really want it to be. Yeah.
when Chief Warrant Officer Taylor, I was thinking about. I saw his picture in the cruise book. And I mean, he joined. I know he joined later. Like I think he was in his late 20s when he joined, and he felt like a really, really old man. But of course, I was in my early 20s. I don't know if he really was a really old man, but I can imagine when he joined, he was probably. I can imagine the difference in the Navy then versus today. So,
Yeah.
hey, I live next to an Army base. Fort Johnson used to be Fort Polk, and I saw a girl coming out at the grocery store, and she was in the camo fatigues, or whatever, and the digital ones, the new ones, and she of course is Army, and her hair was down in a ponytail, and I looked and I'm like, well, that's weird. So I messaged my buddy who's an active duty Army guy, and I said, "Hey, are the girls allowed to wear their hair down in ponytails now?" And he said, "Oh man," he goes, "You don't even know. Like they have changed so many regulations. The military, the Navy uniforms has changed so much. The whole concept, Jay, of me and you being a blue shirt is gone. There's
Really?
not a blue shirt anymore. It's over. They're either in blue fatigues. They had at one time they had a black pant and a khaki shirt for E1s. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like it just changed. Hey, you know what? I'm super excited that I got to be in the Navy with dungarees, and although I didn't get to wear them the whole time, dungarees and the Cracker Jacks and coveralls.
The bell bottoms, man. The bell bottoms. I still remember in boot camp we were stenciling our name on our stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
It's just.
But you know what?
Now you send them up to the tailors. The tailors put the nice little knitted names on there and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I remember in boot camp there was a kid named Taylor, and the tailors were in there actually doing, resizing because people lost weight, so they were like resizing everybody's stuff. And the RDC said the only people in here allowed to talk are the tailors. And Taylor just kept talking, and the RDC and that same RDC came up and said, he said, "Would you not hear me? The only people allowed to talk is Taylor." And he said, "Well, sir," or he's like, "Petty officer, my last name's Taylor, sir." Petty officer, like, he goes, "Oh, okay, okay," and he let him keep talking. And then once they left, I think he was in the forward upright position for about 3 hours. He said, "You gonna keep talking?" But it's pretty funny. But I don't know how long you want to talk, man. We can just kind of shoot the bull, but I just don't want to bore everybody. I just want to make sure we put out some content. We got a lot of stuff to talk about coming up.
We do. I mean, I think this was a good little upkeep and letting everybody know
that we're still here.
We didn't quit now. Yeah, and what's going on in our lives, and I will get back on Facebook, everybody. So I really like to get in contact with everyone, and I think it'd be easier, especially this with you and I, John. So I'll make a page or something, have my wife help me out.
You still have a page. It's still on there. You just might have to figure out how the password and all that for it. So I saw I can see it, but I just can't obviously log in. You have to figure that out. So cool. I want to before we hop off here, I want to say something. If you're listening to this and you were with us in the Navy, if you were on the ship with us, or even maybe in school, with either of us, and you have pictures of us, or honestly, if you have Lake Champlain pictures of, I don't even have to be me and him or me and Jay. It could be just you and your friends or whatever, other friends. Put them on Facebook and tag the 04 Level Aft, and we'll start putting that stuff up. And because, and be willing to reach out to your friends and tell them that you love them and you miss them, or call them morons or whatever you used to do. Like Jay had a tragedy a few years ago, and he's not the only one. And I know because of because of how I am, I somehow have found a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of people who's had a lot of stuff, a lot of tragedy, a lot of divorce, a lot of things, and sometimes it's just, hey, how's it going? And if anything, you're just getting their mind off of it and just talking to them, and I think it's very important. So Steve said something last week that just rocked, or I say last week like it was last week, but he said something that I never caught on to. They always talk about the 22 a day for veterans.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Did you catch that he was talking about the active duty suicides?
Mm-hmm.
That's not part of the 22 a day. That's a totally different thing.
Oh, man.
And
wow.
And so, we can simultaneously have fun and educate and let you guys know. We have a lot of kind of really cool stuff on the docket. We're working up the episodes to remember Mo and Val both, reaching out to people about that, reaching out to some guys that are in charge of like veteran organizations to help with PTSD or to just get together. There's always the VFW. There's always the American Legion. Those are groups that you can, get involved in. And I don't do the VFW because I ain't got time for the VFW. That's another thing for me to do between softball, podcasting, work, fishing, and all that other stuff. I just ain't got time for another one. But there are a lot of y'all, you might have time, And one of the cool things is like you can do stuff. Join the VFW. I have a friend in town. He's a VFW guy, and he's only in to do funerals. That's the only reason he does it. He's part of the funeral detail, and he does veteran funerals for anybody that's needing it. So he's part of that detail for that. He doesn't go to the bingo. He doesn't go to anything that doesn't pertain to that. If there's a meeting that has to be, he goes. But other than that, he don't go. And so he loves it, and it gives him kind of a something to do. And he struggles with PTSD too. So it's kind of cool that he's doing that, and I suggest people do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I want to reiterate what you just said, man, because it's. I know as men we want to sit back and be like, I'm talk to anybody, but Jonathan and I are offering ourselves, man. If you need to reach out, especially when it comes to a life-altering thing, a life-altering situation, you know, and it happens at any moment. At a moment, it'll just change your whole life,
Right.
you know. And of course, you want to go back to a quote unquote safe spot of your life, you know. And a lot of guys on the ship were a happy time for you, you know, a happy time for us. You know, it's like I just want to talk to somebody, you know, that reminds me of a happy time, you know. Just I will get back on Facebook. I'll have my number out. Yeah. I'm telling you, any day and any day of the week, anytime, give me a holler. I'll be there for you guys.
100%. And in absolute confidence too, because part of the ministry stuff requires me to be. I keep a lot of stuff in confidence, and so if you ever need anything, don't want to talk about it, don't want nobody else to hear about it, let me know. I can talk to you. But before we go, I wanted to end this on a light note. I don't know if you've heard for the Lake Champlain people. All right, I want to, as the kids say today, I want to spill the tea.
Spill the tea.
We're going to do some rumors, but it's not rumors because there's information. Lake Champlain, especially combat systems people from 2000 until like 2004. If you remember the weapons officer / combat systems officer named Michael Mashevitz, Google his name. His name was Michael V. Mashevitz. MISIEWICZ. Mashevitz.
Will they be surprised at what they find?
They will be surprised at what they find. I remember this guy, and he's talking about not liking the military, or like, so there's some guys that I'm still friends with who absolutely hated their time in the Navy, hated it. And like the only redemptive part of it was the friendships that they made. But when it comes to the Navy, they hated every part of it. And this was a guy that would have done that for people. He would have caused their life to be miserable simply because of just the way he was. And he made me hate the Navy. And I was just so upset. And he was the combat systems officer on Lake Champlain for a while. And so we had to deal with the whole 3 years of him doing the rotation of weapons officer and then combat systems. So we had to deal with him for most of the time we were there. And he has, let's just put it this way. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll say that. I don't know if it's alleged, but he is spending a whole lot of time in Leavenworth, Kansas. Google his name, you'll find out why.
Well, you know, is it on the internet?
Yes, it is.
Then it's true. Everything on the internet is true.
That's what Abraham Lincoln said.
Okay. Yep. Just like you don't get fat. It's just that your clothes, when you don't wear them, they shrink.
Yeah. You got to keep them stretched out. Like Sammy Sanders. Remember Sammy Sanders? He said that if you don't, you have to take 120 volts at least once a week to keep your immunity to electricity built up.
Jesus.
Oh,
we worked with some whack jobs, man.
Right. So, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I just wanted to tell y'all that we're going to get more information. We got a lot of really cool ideas for episodes. We'll start reaching out and getting them scheduled. And so we got some VA reps that we know is going to come in and try to help us with the VA stuff. We're going to have, like I said, VFW and talk about Val at once. And if you have any good stories about Val, shoot them to the Facebook page, and we'll see. I don't want to just have one guest that time. We may do some, or even Mo too. I'm sorry. We may do multiple guests for that one and just kind of merge them together. Do a bunch of people for short episodes. So I don't know, or short pieces in one big episode for both of those. Those two were amazing men, and I was glad to have known them. And I wish I'd have known them better, but I just wanted to.
I had the most amazing laugh ever, bro.
He was not scared of Christina, but Christina kept him on the straight and narrow. She would not. It was funny. But anyway.
Well, everybody, listen, we need feedback. Let us know what we can do.
Yeah,
let us know what we're doing right. Let us know what you think we're doing wrong. And let your friends know. Tell your mama. Tell your daddy.
I don't know. But anyway,
We're gonna work the kink. We're gonna work the kinks out, guys,
yeah.
and we'll get this video and audio all squared away, and then one of these days you'll be able to see us and hear us crisply.
But anyway,
all right, brother.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks for tuning in and listening. And as always, we love you guys, miss you guys, and hope y'all have a blessed day.
Peace.
The smoking lamp is out.